Hello everyone, I'm day weather meteorologist Don Day with your Public Lands Council weekly weather update for this September 2nd, 2023. It's being brought to you by Ag Risk Advisors and WSR Insurance Services Incorporated. Well, August is done. We're into September now, believe it or not. Are we going to have a little bit of summer? Are we going to have a little bit of fall? The answer to both questions is a yes, because this time of year, you can certainly have some hot summer weather continuing out of August into early September, but we also start watching those northern latitudes for weather coming out of the Pacific and Canada, and that's certainly what we're going to see. It's going to be hot through the weekend on the plains. The Corn Belt, the Midwest, the Western High Plains will have plenty of heat, some 90s and some 100s. It will not feel like fall at all or September at all across the nation's midsection. However, there's this storm system coming into the Pacific Northwest that will cool down Washington, Oregon, parts of central and northern California and Idaho early in the Labor Day weekend, and that will spread eastward across the central and northern Rockies and eventually the northern plains. So by early next week, it will feel like September with cooler temperatures and a better chance of showers and thunderstorms. After that moves through, we see a very typical early September weather pattern towards the middle to the end of next week. Typical meaning not as hot, but still warm with some cool nights. Also this time of year, you do tend to have drier periods showing up. Now in the last week, if you remember last week's update, we had the remains of what was Tropical Storm Harold that kind of came through and took a course just like that. And you can see the path of the heavier rainfall that did fall in parts of New Mexico, Arizona, Colorado, Wyoming, then across parts of Nebraska, then into parts of the Midwest. So sort of this ring of moisture was the remains of that tropical storm. Then you can see what happened here with Idalia. That's all moved out into the oceans now. And as we take a look at the west over the past week, you can see that the Pacific Northwest picked up a little bit, especially parts of northwest Montana and northern Idaho. What we'll see in the coming week is a little more moisture in the west with this Pacific trough coming in. And this will help out soil moisture. We'll get a little bit of help here with some rain, but you can see how dry it is in Washington State and Oregon in the western areas. Still got a tendency to be dry here in the northern plains and into the Corn Belt, as well as Texas, New Mexico, and into southern Arizona, still looking at a moisture deficit there. The green areas with good soil moisture are likely the areas that have the best chance of getting rained on again here in the short term. Over the past week, we saw it warm up in the west while the coolest weather was in the northeast and the Great Lakes, but we've had a persistent coolness all summer in this part of the country right here, and that's continued. And with the way it's looking, with this trough coming into the west coast this weekend, that will keep those temperatures cool. And there it is. We've got a low just off the coast of northern California, which is going to sit there here for the beginning of Labor Day weekend. Thunderstorm activity will develop in the desert southwest, then will lift northeastward into the central and northern Rockies around this high. And you can see that big H there and all the red, very hot conditions here in the nation's midsection as desert air gets thrown into the middle part of the U.S. But as this low here heads eastward, it is going to bring showers and thunderstorms eastward into the central and northern Rockies and especially the northern plains. This will lead to a cooler weather by early next week, and here it is by Monday. You can see that trough settling in. The west will cool off, have some showers and storms. It will feel like September Monday and Tuesday in many areas. Over the next 7 days, you can see the path of that low coming into the Pacific Northwest and northern Rockies, and you can see the trail of showers and thunderstorms that will form along the path of this low. Still some subtropical or monsoonal moisture still over parts of northwest Mexico and into parts of the southwestern United States. So there will be some precipitation in the near future with this low coming off the west coast. That's your weekly update for September 2nd. Have yourself a good Labor Day weekend. We'll see you next week.